Welcome to the bold analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, I have really missed you in this podcast. Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya has narrated the manner in which he was arrested at Hayega Market by the police and directly drove to a police station in Kakamega, and the circumstances around his arrest, or what the police told Oparanya, has actually given us a signal on the plan, or rather on this report that has emerged about withdrawing the security details of Azimio principals and other leaders allied to Azimio la Umoja. Kindly make sure you subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our video. And thank you very much for those who are supporting this podcast. Oparanya is saying that the moment plainclothed officers blocked his car, they got his way, they came around the car and pushed his driver away. Then they took charge and started driving, and they accused him they asked him why he is opposing government while fueling his cars, or rather he's opposing government using government car. And in his own words, he say he was mistreated, he's demonized, and he was handled like a terrorist. Probably that was to show that, probably that was to try to send a message in the manner that the arrests will actually be conducted. It is only not Oparanya who was arrested. In Mavoko MP was also arrested today and released unconditionally after writing statement, same with Oparanya. But as the report by the Star is showing that almost 132 people were arrested, including some leaders on both in the political divide, in a fresh twist of a renewed government effort to suppress the leaders that they think are actually leading the protests. Let it not be lost to some of you that Kalonzo Musyoka was actually missing on Wednesday when the protests boiled up. Kalonzo Musyoka was no-show, while his region, Mlolongo and Emali, the Kitengela areas, Makueni, is a place that really shocked the country by the level on the way the protest was actually done. I have seen a very funny pulling that next week's protests have been pulled on Machakos versus Kibera, Kamkunji versus Migori, then Nyeri versus Mombasa, then there is Kilifi versus Mlolongo, then there is Nairobi, versus Kisii, then Nyamira versus Homa Bay. I've seen those funny pulling on how the protest has actually, I think people are just trying to make fun of it. Now this is coming while there have been a lot of information corridors in the corridors, while even Azimio leaders have been raising this in the corridors, that there could be plan to withdraw the security details of Azimio la Umoja leaders. I read the letters, I read the tweet reaction from Kithure Kindiki, and in a quick rejoinder, Kithure Kindiki was actually insinuating that was actually stating clearly that they will stop at nothing but to arrest all those they believe financed or are the perpetrators of the mass action. So there is a statement that was made by himself. And you know, the issue of targeting security details could actually be hatched, could be aimed at disorganizing Azimio la Umoja plan to devolve the protests who have been conducting, who actually devolved these protests. And it is believed that probably if the security details are withdrawn, they might actually get back to drawing board. And I'm just wondering, you know, you cannot use the old tactics. On Wednesday, I think Kenyans came out of their comfort zones And Raila Odinga did not lead the mass action. In fact, no single Azimio la Umoja leader came out to lead protests. Let's look at these three regions. Look at Kisii, Nyamira, and Emali. In Kisii, there is no single principle in Azimio la Umoja. Even the Kisii governor, Simbarat, is not an Azimio principle. If you look at Nyamira, Azimio do not have a principle from Nyamira. But these areas have been protesting. If you look at Emali, yes, it might be a Kalonzo Musyoka zone, but Kalonzo Musyoka was not in the protest the very day. So there is something that could actually be going on here. And I know one of the things that even the intelligence has been telling the police and the government is they must make sure that they handle Raila Odinga with care. They must handle Raila Odinga with care because he is the stake, the stability of the country is lying in his own hands. What is he saying? What exactly he's trying to say in this context is that the moment they mess with Raila Odinga, it can be the climax of the protest or it can actually trigger fresh protests. So on how that will be done is something that, and again, you know, people are coming out, whether Raila is protesting or not, whether Raila is leading it or not. So I don't even think the issue with withdrawing security is a big thing. But I see some three objectives of the security withdrawal. This have the potential of diverting attention of the protests to be centered on the cost of living, but to be on the issue of the security details. In fact, someone is expecting that if security details of some leaders are actually withdrawn, then you know, there are people that cannot do without that security. I may not, I'm just making this projection because there are those who will feel like they cannot do with it. So the issue of reinstate our security will find its way in the press briefings that are going to be made. So those press briefings that Raila Odinga and the team are going to give, they might actually put it as one of irreducible minimums, even to stop it. And the moment the whole country is talking about withdrawal of security details, it is part of a scheme that would actually try to divert the whole thing to be about Raila and the other leaders. So that will be it. And I do believe that it's a very tired old strategy that cannot hold as of now because Raila Odinga has not been coming out. I don't think the people that have been coming out to protest, especially in other towns apart from Nairobi, I've not seen Raila in Mombasa, I've not seen Raila in Kakamega, I've not seen Raila in Kisumu or Homa Bay or Siaya or Nyahururu. But these guys have been protesting. If you look at last week, the Wednesday one, the Matatu guys were also on the road. Some doctors' union were also on the road. So I don't really think this thing is about withdrawing the security details of the fellows. Now, number two, of course, when you withdraw security details of these leaders, it is akin to state intimidation because they actually remain exposed. I want you to imagine it this way. William Ruto allies are coming out to say that we can arrest Raila or that we can arrest these leaders. But when you, and when the politicians are making these statements in the rallies, but you hear security details being withdrawn, what does that mean? The first step is if your security details are withdrawn, number one, your mobility is actually affected. Your mobility is affected because for this VIP, for VIP protection, you actually need serious and competent team security in terms of your security details. So when it is drawn, your mobility is affected. So if what they can actually do and what can be the point here is they make sure that the Azimio leaders do not come out even to join the people, leave alone even the protest. I remember on Mondays, Tuesday, Raila was in the CBD. He went to Nyamakima. Now, there are leaders within the Azimio ranks. Maybe Raila can go even without the security details and get some few ODM fellows to protect him there. But there are some leaders that cannot come out without it. So it is going to slow down mobility of those Azimio principles. The more their mobility is slowed down, they might get out of sight of the public. And then a narrative will then be floated that why are you fighting while your leaders are not even coming out? So it is one strategy. And of course, it's a signal that is sending that if you've withdrawn your security, you're now exposed, we can actually arrest you. In some instances, I also know that leaders that have protection, security details, there's sometimes a clash normally happen between those who wants to arrest the leaders and the security details of the leader. This is something that has been going on. So it could be a strategy, and that is why those in power know very well that when your security is withdrawn, it's not something that will be taken simple. And I don't think this is it. One of the biggest hurdles that government is facing now is the law. What does the law say? Can we withdraw the security details of a leader because of your feeling about what he's doing about the mass action? And they know that probably you will withdraw the details, security details, then after one day or after some few hours, someone goes to court and the court finds government on the wrong. So that is one of the things that is there. But all this are nested, and according to me, it's going to pull Raila Odinga sympathy card so that he comes out projecting himself fighting for the citizens.